Part 53. Exploring the World, starting from the discovery of the white bone dragon pond. Author, Xuanhuan Pian Hai. Chapter 521. In the distance are wave-like peaks. These peaks overlap one another but have no sense of beauty. It should be said that they do not conform to the sense of beauty recognized by life on Earth. If you look at them one more time, something will grow in your eyes. Of course, there are some people who want to watch it more and more after watching it for the first time, and then almost head straight through the live broadcast room to the world and the abyss. Fortunately, this is Yeshi's live broadcast room, not an ordinary live broadcast room. Otherwise, those watching the live broadcast may really be able to get into this abyss, and Yeshi's live broadcast room acts as a live broadcast room for a specific reason. The world wall blocks these, so that the tragedy of heads passing through the screen will not happen. These mountain peaks are not emerald green, but a mixture of green and blue, just like the reflection of the sky. This looks pretty good at first glance. When you zoom in, you will find that those mountain peaks are alive and are constantly squirming. Color and blue are also flesh and blood intertwined. Yeshi didn't look any further. He could tell at a glance that these were mountains formed by the abyss monsters that couldn't dodge and squeezed themselves together. Well, this is definitely not because of the leakage of dreamy aura, nor does it have anything to do with Yeshi hacking down a boundary monument as soon as he came. This scenery looks quite local. Yeshi admired it for a while, then looked at the camera and nodded. Nothing to say, I am the same. Even the ground and mountains are alive, which really shows the local characteristics, but where are the other indigenous residents who died? Mysterious passerby, your last sentence answers your question very well. You already said that you are dead, so why are you asking this question? The only weak monster that is not dead has shrunk into a ball. When Yeshi saw this barrage, he nodded subconsciously, then shook his head. This is half right and half wrong. No matter how you say it, a monster that can live in the 998th level of the abyss cannot be called weak. Each abyssal layer is similar to the planets, but unlike those planets on the ground, there is no prescribed direction and place for planets to breed more powerful life, but the more the abyss goes into the abyss, the more powerful the life will be. Next, the monsters bred in it become more and more ferocious, and every 10 levels is a 0 point, every 100 levels, every 1,000 levels, you know what I mean, the number of levels in the abyss is almost endless. On the other hand, if the demons, or gods, at the lowest level want to climb up from below, they will have to spend a lot of effort. The 998th floor is not particularly powerful, but it is still powerful. After all, this level is quite special. Remember the little demon boy you met before who really liked losing meat? He is a demon lord from the 9998th floor, so everyone related to this floor is infiltrated by his power, so still very strong. I really didn't see it. Yeshi coughed. His analysis was very objective. From a logical and physical perspective, it was true. After all, the 998th floor can summon the 9998th floor demon lord. Isn't this powerful? Although the current demon lord is a clone. It seems that it exploded just to push Yeshi into the abyss. It should have affected the body and cannot be summoned again. Yeshi only felt that the other party was a little pitiful. If you had told him earlier, he would have been so hospitable that Yeshi would have wanted to go to the abyss. There's really nothing on this floor. Oh, it seems we can only go to the next floor to take a look. Yeshi put away the sword that he had been holding in his hand. The water like frost and cold that shrouded the abyss suddenly disappeared, and the folds of the mountains became more stretched. Let's go, a dead Taoist friend will not die, a poor Taoist. Yeshi seemed to hear these words from the mountains that were silently acting as dead things. Returning to the boundary monument monster again, Yeshi looked at the other person who was pitifully frozen and half paralyzed and shrugged his shoulders. This thing should be translated as a boundary monument, which is a boundary monument that everyone can understand. Although it is a boundary monument that everyone cannot understand when in the abyss, there must be such monsters in the abyss. Instead of being called monsters, in fact, it can be called an artifact, which provides a path to and from the abyss. Generally speaking, there won't be any monsters near this kind of passage, because the boundary monument is the biggest obstacle. If you want to get down, you have to get down from the body of a creature like the boundary monument. You can also think about how dangerous it is to be inside a monster's body, not to mention that when I came down, I wanted to close the passage. Can I bear this? Obviously, I can't. Okay, no need to say so much. If we go down to more abyss layers, we can see this kind of boundary monument many times in the future. I hope that the boundary monuments in the future will have more eyes and don't feel like anyone has to pass through them. Yeshi felt a headache when he mentioned this. Then Yeshi walked into a similar whirlpool, or gathering nebula nearby, jumped in, and jumped directly. At the same time, at the moment Yeshi jumped down, the clone of the divine sword turned directly into the sky full of ice, freezing everything on the ground into pieces. Then the water slowly flowed through, washing away everything, and the original living creatures disappeared completely. All life on this level has been destroyed. Not only that. Not only was all the abyss monsters destroyed in the 998th layer of the abyss, but the remaining power of the split sword spread to the entire field. A powerful light shined in the abyss layer, and the rays of light scattered, bringing with it turbulent waves. Those azure waters, crystal clear and translucent, seemed to have been borrowed from the Milky Way in heaven to wash away this abyss completely. The misty halo penetrated this world. The breath of chaos circulated in it, and Yeshi only left the split sword. Now, all the power in the split sword has been turned into ashes. At the same time, this layer of abyss was almost shattered into pieces, and the world was directly stagnant. This layer of abyss was completely cut off from other abyss layers, and the remaining power was enough to destroy all monsters trying to resurrect. In other words, Yeshi himself exploded this layer of abyss. However, in the live broadcast room, everyone could only see the fairy sword rising into the sky behind Yeshi, the waves surging into the sky, and the glowing light exploding, but nothing could be seen. The system was silent for a moment. Host, why did you kill the 998th layer of the abyss first? All this was indeed Tokiyoshi's own arrangement. His tone was very indifferent. Isn't this just to prevent my death from taking effect? As long as I blow them up first, they will have no reason to blame me. In other words, I really blew it up this time. Someone will say in the future, I reluctantly accept it. The system continued to be silent for a while, but finally did not say the next words. In fact, if the host does not explode, this abyss will not explode. Exploring the world, starting from the discovery of the white bone dragon pond. Author, Xuanhuan Pianhai. Chapter 522. Yeshik didn't care what the system thought, and besides the system, there were also many people who had calculated the explosion of this abyss, mainly because the demon lord from the abyss saw it. For a moment, I felt a little bit sympathetic to those heavenly comments about Yeshi. It's really a bad star. I don't know what I came to the abyss for. Does he want to go through countless abyss layers and reach the bottom of the abyss? People who don't have authority can't do it. He does have the power and authority to go to the bottom of the abyss. He doesn't even need to fight there step by step. As long as he releases his dream authority, he will be accepted by the abyss. He will not release them all. This existence from the earth is very strange. He has the power of both heaven and the abyss. Moreover, he has never been to the abyss before. He will not stand on the side of the abyss. I've been here, but you didn't notice it? I thought I should have killed him at the beginning. Who knew he had grown so fast and completed such a rapid transformation in such a short period of time? It's incredible. Is this because of the heaven and the abyss? It's a pity that we can't do it because of the balance of strength. Maybe Taiso can do it? Have you found Taishu? Where is Taishu and when will it be conceived? If it has already been conceived, we should speed up. There is no hope for this universe. The arrival of the next era will bring about the destruction of all things. You should leave as soon as possible and go to the eternal kingdom. Everything will come to ruins, and so will heaven, and so will we. What do you mean by the eternal kingdom? What is that? The noisy voices in the abyss suddenly disappeared without a trace, as if the other party asked about some taboo. During the process of scanning the abyss, the system discovered that there was a strange power in the abyss. Although there are many powers from other multiverses or dimensions in the universe, this power is the most bizarre because the system cannot describe and scan it. The system told Yeshi this information and asked Yeshi to pay attention. Yeshi had already arrived at the 1000th level of the abyss. To be honest, there was nothing interesting about it, except that he frowned when he saw those monsters holding monster alchemy and shouting "I have become it," and stepped forward to investigate. But this is the funniest part. Looking at it this way, Yeshi suddenly realized how lucky he was in the planets he chose to explore in the past. After all, not every planet has its own mysteries for him to explore. Obviously, these layers of abyss do not have this power. This alchemy is actually quite interesting. When Yeshi was refining elixirs, he initially referred to the process in the Immortal Sutra, but later found out that it was just a piece of shit. He complained about himself at the same time, why he thought of using the heavenly system to refine elixirs in the abyss. After that, for example now, Yeshi took a big cauldron that looked like a pot and put materials into it one by one. The fire below is a faint blue color, which is quite beautiful. Just listening to the wailing of the monsters in this pot, the people watching the live broadcast were really mentally broken. I think it's pretty good, I want to give it a try. But goodbye, you haven't seen what it's like inside the abyss. Everything there is alive. Can you bear to throw a talking, wriggling plant into the pot to make elixirs? Yes, I can bear it. What's wrong, can't you bear it? Sorry, I can't bear it, but where did you find the materials? You don't want to refine people, what kind of evil demon? Yes, how do you know I am a demon? I have tried using people to make elixirs a long time ago. At Living Hell King, come to arrest people and increase your performance. The pot of medicine was simmered slowly over a slow fire, making a gurgling sound and emitting light red smoke. The red smoke was crystal clear, making people curious about what was in the pot. Yeshi heard the sound of the system. Oh, you mean? Is there something in the abyss that you can't detect? Ding, yes, host, please proceed with caution, there may be unknown risks. Yeshi didn't know why he thought of the two weird things he felt before. If you combine this time, it would be the third time. Okay, I know, I have always been a very stable person, Tongzi, you know me. Ding, host, do you have a wrong understanding of yourself? No, okay, what do you think of the medicine I made? I feel very good. Am I very talented in this area? Ding, the system is undergoing testing. The testing is in progress. After testing, it is found that the medicine prepared by you, host, does have extraordinary power, but it has the opposite effect. This medicine is a great tonic for the life of the heaven system, but it is very poisonous to the life of the abyssal system, but if it is taken to the ground, it will be very beneficial to the abyssal system and very poisonous to the heavenly system. You are truly an outstanding person. Yeshi continued to refine the elixir without changing his expression. This time, he changed the materials and steps, which made everyone happy. After refining the medicine, Yeshi looked at the fresh medicines and asked the system to test them one by one. He found that most of them had such strange effects, so he didn't say anything. Okay, the alchemy is over, we can go somewhere else to take a look. Those who know that you are making elixirs, and those who don't know think that Yeshen is cooking vegetables. Who says it's not the case? It's two outrageous family members, who knows? I just refined the medicine pill according to Yeshen's method, and the furnace exploded in the end. What can I say? Can you be more reliable and not play tricks on us? Yeshen refined the pill in the abyss and used abyss materials. What's wrong with you? You too? Yes, me too, otherwise why would I ask him for an explanation? Sincerity is a killer move. I once again witnessed the effect of this killer move. Yeshi clapped his hands, then put all the medicines he had refined in the original place, and threw the pot here together. These things all bloomed with a different kind of brilliance, and they looked like some excellent treasures, which easily attracted people's attention. As for whether there were any unlucky people who thought this was some kind of tonic medicine and drank it, it was not something Yeshi should consider. Okay, let's go down and have a look. Tomcat, little Poseidon is going to the abyss after visiting the heaven, right? My poor Kunlun ruins and heaven, I took a look and they were already broken into pieces. That's not so outrageous, Kunlun ruins is constantly being repaired, but the unfortunate heaven has indeed fallen down again. I feel like there's nothing fun in this abyss. You see, there are several layers here, and nothing interesting has appeared. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Exploring the world, starting from the discovery of the white bone dragon pond. Author, Xuanhuan Pian Hai. Chapter 523. This abyss, if you want to say it's interesting, is actually quite interesting. But when I say it's boring, it's really boring. It's all these things going back and forth. If it goes on layer by layer, I think we will be bored to death. Let's do this. Yeshi snapped his fingers, and a dice suddenly appeared in his hand. The shape of the dice looked a bit special and nondescript. Come, let's see how many layers we can travel through this time, and what kind of things we will encounter. This one in my hand is a random dice. Once rolled, I will randomly go to the abyss layer. Why is this kind of artifact brought out at this time? Mysterious passerby, this should be the gathering of the dream powers of the abyss, otherwise pure power would not be able to pass through so many layers. So, what do you want to say? It means that Yeshen is actually a real life from the abyss, not a life from heaven. Do you understand what I mean? I don't understand, so this is the beginning of robbing people, right? The dice in Yeshi's hand indeed possess the power of dream authority, otherwise there would be no way to instantly cross the layers of abyss. Because in the abyss, the different abyss layers are separated not only by space, but also by time. It is probably only 10 or 100 layers apart, which is a huge difference in time and space. Although the dice as a whole presents a complex beauty, when you zoom in, you can still see the bubbles in the depths that gather all the colors in the universe. In other words, it is this bubble that can maintain the power of this dice. Jingle bell. Yeshi threw the dice. It was obviously just a dice thrown, but the area on this level has undergone incredible changes. When the dice hit the ground, the mountains and rivers began to change shape, and the earth began to change. Looking at the live broadcast room, one can see that the entire world seems to have been accelerated hundreds or thousands of times, from the beginning of the world to the destruction of the universe. Yeshi immediately discovered something was wrong with the place where the dice fell. Or rather, it's the changes brought about by the abyss. It seemed that the entire abyss wanted to take Yeshi to another location, and also changed the order of magnitude of the dice. On the side of the dice that is facing up to the sky, there is an infinity symbol on it. It seems that there are no layers at all. Yeshi raised his eyebrows slightly. This is a bit weird. Can I see what happens next? This seems to be more than just traveling through hundreds and thousands of layers. Why do I always feel like there is something wrong with my eyes? I don't dare to read anymore, I'm a little bit broken, I feel like my eyes are on a jumping machine. What's going on here? Not everything in the abyss is what everyone has seen before. There are also places that look as beautiful as the world of cultivating immortals. However, the immortals cultivating there are not serious immortals. Instead, once they are successful in cultivation, they will become alienated or ghosts. A deformed fairy. When the die slowly landed on the ground and displayed the symbol infinity, the world on this level quickly flew past Yeshi's side, making it impossible for him to catch it even if he wanted to. Forget it, let's see what this power is for. Yeshi silently put the sword back in his hand. In the abyss, his divine power was growing every moment. If before, Yeshi's cultivation in the heavenly system was increasing, then now, there is no doubt that the power belonging to God is constantly pouring in. Every time Yeshi stood in the abyss layer, he would feel the power from the abyss as a whole being continuously supplied to him, so that it was enough to directly borrow the power from the abyss to do anything without using his own power. According to Yeshi's guess, I'm afraid all life in the abyss is like this. Once people from heaven enter the abyss, they will fight directly in the opponent's territory. In this case, Yeshi actually saw many worlds sealed by heaven under the sight of countless layers of worlds. This heaven is indeed really powerful. When this idea flashed through Yeshi's mind, he communicated with the system in his mind. Tongzi, can you find out what is happening in the abyss now? Why is there an inexplicable force pulling me there? Ding, the system immediately conducted an investigation for the host. This is because in the protracted war between heaven and the abyss, it has now reached a critical moment. Although at this critical moment, the minimum timeline is also it has to be stretched to millions of years, but it is obvious that the abyss has begun to mobilize all its power and intends to completely win this war. The next era is coming, which will be unusually far away for mortals, but for immortals from God's perspective, it only takes a moment. Ding, after detection, the host is now crossing towards the bottom of the abyss. The closer to the bottom of the abyss, the heavier the power that cannot be detected. Please pay attention to the host at all times. The system will also open the transmission channel synchronously. Once we find something wrong, we will immediately start transmitting to other universes. Yeshi didn't expect the system to be so well prepared this time, and was a little surprised. So dignified. Ding, yes, host, facing an unknown power system and life, the system will use all its strength to prepare for war. Many times, it is because of contempt that some systems will lead to the death of the host. Obviously, this system and you, the host, will never make the same mistake again. Host, please note that after inspection, the Teishu you placed in your world is gradually hatching. Please note that although your world should belong to you in theory and in terms of rules, and you can fully control it, the system has not come into contact with an existence similar to Taisu Teishu before, so there will be certain deviations in judgment. Therefore, the system recommends that the host should respond to the birth of Teishu with all its strength. So fast, what happened? I thought Kunlun ruins had been repaired, and everything was developing well before. Yes, everything is developing well, but we must admit that the next era is bound to come. In the era, even if the universe does not necessarily go to the infinite abyss, the Teishu representing that era will definitely be gradually nurtured. Strictly speaking, the arrival of the era will affect the birth of Teishu. Now the future is already chaotic, but Teishu is still born and nurtured according to the original era. You are talking so roundabout. Isn't it just that the game has updated a new version, but the boss inside is still in the old version? I understand. Is my entry into the bottom of the abyss this time related to Taisu Teishu or the heavenly court? Ding, it has nothing to do with it. The reason why you entered the bottom of the abyss is due to the fantasy authority you control, which is the authority that only the main god system can control. Exploring the world, starting from the discovery of the white bone dragon pond. Author, Wo Yu Yi Pian Hai. Chapter 524. The abyss is endless, and yes, she has a sense of déjà vu, which is exactly the same as falling down in a dream world. The fluttering butterflies floated across the crystal wall of the world, with a little starlight fluttering on it, as if an infinite amount of time had passed, and then all the worlds that passed by were affected by it. The green branches stretched out from a layer of the abyss. It was crystal clear, like the finest jade, full of pure power, and this power seemed to be able to breed all things and nourish the entire abyss. It turned out that this was an abyss world tree that grew from the bottom of the abyss, and on this world tree, there were countless creatures, as well as the world and the abyss layer. The melting moonlight sprinkled from the ground, which was still the moonlight that appeared from the bottom of the abyss, making everyone who saw it feel that this was a miracle in the world. A strange atmosphere permeated the live broadcast room. It was an endless ocean, and in the ocean, all the lives in the world wanted to cross the sea and go to the other side. However, from the current situation, it was obvious that no one had reached the other side they wanted, and the golden bridge on the other side naturally attracted people to cross again and again. In these beautiful and magnificent pictures, personal life seemed so insignificant. Although many people in the live broadcast room had understood their insignificance and the greatness of the world, nature and I were one thing, and I were another thing. Yeshi's powerful power always appeared quietly like still waters, and did not shock the audience. In addition to making the audience marvel that he won again this time, it can be said that they have become accustomed to it. Those immortals or monsters in the abyss that might have a real impact on their individual lives were cut off and extinguished by Yeshi with a slap and a sword. Therefore, the indescribable helplessness rarely appeared in this live broadcast room. The indifferent language of Yeshi in the past, with the childish but unrestrained power of human beings, was not revealed at this moment, when he fell into the abyss, and the powerful oppressive force that was blocked by Yeshi just exploded. When the audience exploded, there were very few barrages, and during this time, when he went to the bottom of the abyss, Yeshi also saw the universe and the sea of stars, as well as the lives that disappeared instantly in the sea of stars, and the monsters that kept falling on the mountain of death, and the trees that covered the sky and the sun, and the lives rolling in the sea water. These things revealed in front of Yeshi were actually the power of the main god system of each abyss, so the power of the main god can be filled from the bottom of the abyss to the entire abyss. It may be a bit vulgar to say this, and many people even dare not believe it, but the abyss claims that the powerful one among them is God, and the heaven does not necessarily deny it, because it is really God. Not only those negative gods imagined by everyone, such as greed, desire, darkness, decay, etc., but also gods such as light, life, thunder, and fertility. The abyss represents a collection of countless divine powers, and the dream power is undoubtedly one of the highest divine powers. Yes, that's right. Yeshi has heard the call from the abyss. These voices from the abyss keep calling him to go, and by the way, they also made a shortcut, because the unprecedented great changes among the gods are about to appear. This is certainly not a meeting of the main gods, because although the abyss is calling Yeshi, the other powers are explosively rejecting Yeshi, an unwelcome person. Not that bad. Yeshi felt that these gods were guarding against him like thieves, and he couldn't help getting angry. Exploring the world, starting from the discovery of the white bone dragon pond. Author, Xuanhuan Pian Hai. Chapter 525. Chapter 525 The Secret of the Abyss. This is obviously a call from the abyss. Why are these gods of the abyss guarding me like thieves? Do you think it's necessary? Even if everyone blames it, it should be blamed on abyss. Speaking of which, abyss really doesn't care about anything, as long as it has authority. I also saw those little gods from heaven who control authority. They are obviously here to act as undercover agents. They have all been summoned. Yeshi clicked his tongue, then shook his head, feeling that this abyss was really the same as heaven, as unreliable as it was. Bubbles all over the sky were scattered on Yeshi's body. At this moment, he had successfully passed through countless spaces and times and reached the bottom of the abyss. Even though they were rejecting Yeshi still ended up here. It just said that Yeshi would know nothing about the memories they were about to open. Abba 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 abba. In the eyes of the audience, there was nothing in front of them except Yeshi, and apart from Yeshi's voice, the only sound they heard was the voice of Abba Abba. Apart from that, everything else was a vast expanse of white, which made everyone feel puzzled. At the same time, they felt deeply that Yeshi had encountered something magical and strange. Of course, Yeshi also heard Abba's voice. He really is. His eyes were not a vast expanse of white. He could see the divine tree reaching the sky, the blue sea of life, the decaying god of war, and they were communicating with each other. But the voices of communication are all Abba Abba Abba. Tongzi, do you think they are too deliberate? What do you mean? You want me to listen to Abba Abba mocking me, right? Oh, they are looking down on me. I, Yeshi, have been able to get to where I am today thanks to my own efforts. System, please translate for me what they are saying. You really think I can't hear it, right? Yeshi's brows were raised slightly, and he looked calm and calm. In the eyes of those who couldn't see clearly, he called the system to take action. Ding, after detection, they are discussing the future of this universe and an eternal existence from outside the universe and dimensions. A main god representing life said that the power of the future has never been found, but unless the future of this universe really realizes the uncertain future, even though the future has changed, it will eventually end in ruins and extinction. The end cannot be changed, because neither we nor heaven can find a future that represents the power of a truly great being. Another main god who represents death said that they cannot pursue these great powers bred in this universe. After truly coming into contact with the power that represents the great existence of eternity, he discovered that they have the so-called the understanding of the power of the future is so shallow. Only a great being can find the future, and only a great being can save us and the universe from the fate of ruin. We are destined to be unable to find the future, because he has already dedicated his loyalty to the eternal existence. Ding, host, after testing, the great eternal existence they are talking about should be an immeasurable, eternal great existence that represents the concept of eternity and eternity itself. This great existence brought power to the abyss and was summoned by them. Come on, host, no, they are planning to run away, they are running away faster than us. Yeshi frowned. Aren't you still fighting with heaven? Is this a delaying tactic? Ding, after detecting the conversations between the main gods of the abyss, the system can analyze that they have indeed reached a consensus, that is, to offer their loyalty to a great being that represents eternity, and then leave this universe that is destined to ruin. It's just that he said that currently, it will take a lot of time to escape from this universe, and there are also worries that the beings in heaven will stop them. So this is such important news that I heard. They don't even know to pay attention. Yeshi was speechless to these gods in the abyss. Ding, host, in fact, you have the master authority of dreams, which means that you can definitely participate in their dialogue, so even if they prevent you, you can still come here. Even the Lord gods they can gather their power and build a barrier between you and them so that you cannot hear these messages, but this is because your power is far from reaching its peak. Okay, I understand, is there anything else? Ding, the system will continue to perform synchronous real-time translation. So Yeshi listened to the system translating the dialogues of the Lord God of the Abyss to him sentence by sentence, while the viewers in the live broadcast room stared blankly at Yeshi, who was standing in a void space like a whiteboard, and the words that came from time to time. The sounds of Ababa, and Abba came out of nowhere, a little confused. When Yeshi arrived at the bottom of the abyss and the live broadcast room was not closed, many immortals in heaven were also paying attention to him and wanted to get more information from here. Sadly, they failed. Sure enough, I knew that the most important secret of the abyss would not appear in front of us so easily, even if it is this monk who rarely comes out in millions of years. I have experienced so many beautiful and strange scenes before, but in the end, it was still all white, tisk. The abyss is not stupid, but it's a pity that we can't know what their intentions are. The rules of the universe have changed, and they should also make changes. Why are they still the same as before, and even attacking more and more fiercely? I don't understand. We have reported the matter to the Heavenly Lord, but the Heavenly Lord said nothing, and we can't do anything. Hasn't the future changed? Why is the universe still sliding towards the abyss? A voice from deep space sounded. Yashi continued to listen to the voice from the abyss. The system gave all the information to Yashi and analyzed it. Tongzi, what do you think? Ding, after the system sorted out, we can already know the following information. First, a great being once appeared here and responded to the call from the abyss. This great being represents eternity and has planted the seeds of his power here. Second, regarding the concept of the future, the abyss did not capture its accurate existence and has given up looking for the future. Third, these beings in the abyss are trying to leave the universe and do not want to be discovered by the heavens. Just as Yashi and the system were in while doing a lot of analysis. Drastic changes are taking place in Kunlun ruins. The golden crow that has been bred in the sun star in the sky is extremely gorgeous and dazzling gold, like a light point flying in the sky towards the ground. Its body is full of fire light, and this light seems to be spreading to the whole world. Every time it spreads to a place, it will bring ripples, and each ripple is an endless volcano, directly lighting up the whole earth. Pieces of land are like lights in the dark that have been lit on fire, and then these fires will continue for hundreds of millions of miles, causing the huge mouths of the abyss on the ground to be ignited, and then burned to ashes, and even the monsters in them will die one after another. The fire-colored light seemed to have passed through the abyss and shone on Yeshi, so that everyone had an illusion that the sun had set here. However, in fact, this was a flame representing the Lord of the Abyss. After discussing things, he thought he had excluded Yeshi, so he appeared in front of the world after dissolving his memories. This was a ball of endless brilliance without color, or a mixture of gold and red. The strong feeling of burning everything made countless lives unable to look directly at it. When the boundless fire illuminated Yeshi, Yeshi's eyebrows moved and he heard the sound of the fire. The information conveyed in the sound shocked him. What did you say? You want to join forces with me? You guys excluded me before and didn't even let me hear the sound of the meeting. Now you suddenly want to join forces with me? Are you okay? This group of flames was filled with a very strong aura of destruction. It had no human form, and should have no shape. It was obviously fire, but it showed the form of water. It had the power of both, and it could be regarded as the power of the gods that had taken away the creation. As the saying goes, people have no constant situation, and water has no fixed shape. This is fully demonstrated in this flame. You want me to take you out of the abyss. Why do you think I can do this and help you? Only I can help you. Yeah, what's the benefit? Yeshi didn't intend to help, but he had no choice. The other party gave too much. A bright light bloomed from Yeshi's hand. This was a sword. This was a sword that represented water. Endless sea water gathered on his body and formed thousands of realms. In these thousands of realms, there were many different lives, and each life was melted into a star point. The starlight was like walking in the sea of stars. Yeshi's body was gradually disappearing. Occasionally, he could see the flickering light behind him, and the high-handed gaze of the God King above the 9 heavens, looking down at the lower world. The sound of the flame sounded, and these star points turned into a galaxy belt and were worn on his body. This power bound him. It was obviously an extremely slow movement, but in fact, it was the fastest. Time really had no meaning here. When the crystal-clear jade-like ocean began to flow down drop by drop, Yeshi held the sword horizontally again, and then countless dreamy colors appeared in his eyes, bubbles piled up, and the stars fell again. Yeshi was really serious this time and used all his strength. This was not for any other reason, just because he got a ball of divine fire. This was a very beautiful divine fire, pure gold, with a hint of pure emerald green in the gold. It was in the midst of destruction, nurturing new life. It was the power separated from Yan except for authority, and it was the most majestic fire power in the entire universe. The horizontal sword, the sea water above was flashing with unknown patterns, and the starlight was spotted. The power of the dreamy authority entangled the breath representing Yan together, and then extinguished it. Every step was very decisive and fast, so fast that the other main gods from the abyss did not react, and the audience in the live broadcast room saw very gorgeous and beautiful pictures, which gave them an incomparable comfort that could not be expressed in words. Because the rushing water annihilated all the flames. Those rising flames were supposed to destroy everything in existence, but now they are forced to destroy. And this is all because of Yeshi. Oh my God, what is Yeshen doing? This is so beautiful, I feel like my soul has been purified. So beautiful, my God. It is indeed beautiful. This is obviously a fight, but it is really not easy to have such a formation. People who don't know it think that this is Yeshen demonstrating his sword skills to us. Tomcat, if you insist on understanding it this way, it's not impossible, but let me remind you, doesn't anyone know what the Yan on the opposite side represents? That is the flame from the bottom of the abyss, that is, the core, the foundation of the abyss. It represents a god system, but it has not formed a god system. It represents the source of all fires in the abyss system. Okay, we didn't know before, but now we know. Is there anything else? Am I the only one who still feels sorry for Yeshen? You don't care about Yeshen at all. Family members, who knows, I am the only one who feels sorry for my brother. Burn you to death, I feel so sorry for you. After Yeshi reached a deal with Yan, he happily put away the divine fire. This divine fire indeed has extraordinary effects, and the combination of the power of life and the power of destruction is a bit unbelievable. Whether it is the abyss or the universe, I am afraid that this divine fire is the only one with such special attributes. The brilliant light is like the myriad colors in the sea, and those colors fill the whole world. He also imprisoned Yan among them. Yeshi held the sword in his hand and made a seemingly simple and unpretentious wave. However, this wave indeed directly opened a gap between the abyss and the heaven. Only Yeshi has such power. Otherwise, you will be hostile to the abyss and hostile to heaven. Now, because Yeshi possesses two powers at the same time, the two auras are intertwined, making both sides afraid to act rashly. Click, 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 click. When Yeshi cut off the connection between Yan and abyss with a sword and sent him out, a voice from his world sounded. That is a world that he has not been to for a long, long time, a world that belongs to him alone. And something that belongs to him alone. It will also appear in front of Yeshi for the first time. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Exploring the world, starting from the discovery of the white bone dragon pond. Author, Xuanhuan Hai. Chapter 526. Chapter 526. The mind returns to its original position. Future. Eternal. A great being. Gigzu. Only truly great beings can have the power to truly change a world, or in other words, countless multiverses and dimensions. Any non-great beings cannot come into contact with those great powers. The eternal world is a place where order will not collapse toward disorder. It is a place that exists forever and will not be affected by any force or destroyed. The gods in the abyss are running faster than the other, and they all plan to run to other universes. A place that exists forever. Is it really impossible to imagine what kind of world it is? A world of absolute order. The future is also a great existence, but the abyss gave up after searching for the future for endless years and still not finding it. After coming into contact with the eternal power, they finally understood that the power of the great existence cannot be desecrated. And it is not possible for a great being to find this kind of power. The immortals in heaven are trying to prevent the coming of the next era, and these actions are just trying to block the car. In the end, everything will end in ruins. Only by obtaining the life of eternal seeds can we escape from this universe and escape the fate of ruins. Everything in the universe will come to ruin, including everything that exists and does not exist, including all life and non-life. Even the immortals and gods at the top will have no way to escape, because in this universe, the biggest problem is not it is the return of everything, but this is a universe where a great being was born. Therefore, only the power of a great being can allow life to escape from another great being. In other universes that have returned to ruins, the future will not be so desperate, and one must obtain the power of a great being to escape. Eternal, great existence. The future is a great existence. Tisk, Tongzi, I remember you asked me to run away quickly, right? Are you sure we can run away? Look at these main gods of the abyss and the information they reveal. This shows that unless there is otherwise, there is no way to escape with those powers. Take another look and don't be blinded by the laws of the universe. Ding, host, please rest assured that the system has made all preparations in this regard and is conducting non-stop testing at all times. From all the testing, it can be confirmed that we do have the power to escape from the universe. We do not. There are no restrictions and you can leave at any time, so host, are you running away? This place is getting more and more dangerous. If a truly great being gets involved, we can't handle it here. Yeshi looked at the system's useless look and laughed. Just as he was pondering all the information he had integrated before, Yeshi heard a clicking sound in his ears. The sound was really crisp, and it didn't come from the outside world, but from inside Yeshi's body. Almost instantly, Yeshi understood what had happened. No way. It doesn't have anything to do with me anymore, does it? I just sent Yan away. Is this all my problem? No way. How could Taisha break out of its shell at this time? Didn't it mean that the next era is already a blur of chaos? Didn't it mean that it would take some time for Taisha to completely break out of its shell with the coming of the times? Why did it break now? The smile on Yeshi's face didn't last long before he was immediately broken by the sound of breaking his shell. Because he has not forgotten what the previous system said about Taishu. Taishu and Taisu are both special beings that were born from one era to another in countless years. When the previous era was buried and the next era arrived, that was when Taisu and Taishu were born. Taishu not only represents the first voice of another era, but also represents that his appearance will push the timeline forward at a terrifying speed. In other words, things that would have happened 10,000 years ago will all happen on this day or 10 days. The course of the world will advance to a terrifying degree, and this is simply because of the birth of Taishu. Broken. I knew it would be like this. You and I can't stop the mighty trend of the times. No one can stop it. The veteran has already calculated until today, and can only see whether it will happen in the future. Why does the future appear? Don't forget that this universe has indeed given birth to great beings, but it does not mean that great beings will appear in the era we are in. In a place without any substance, several deities wearing ancient crowns uttered corresponding words one after another. If each sentence appeared outside, it would definitely be earth-shattering and shock countless people. These are deities that existed during the ancient Tianting period, but they are not in the same system as the Sanqing dynasty. Lingbao, didn't you say that ties hang and you already know the future, and the future you know is right in front of you? If you were not deaf, you should be able to hear Taishu's awakening business. Taisu also woke up like this last time, and then the heavenly kingdom was buried, and now, the entire universe is about to fall into ruins. Why are you still hesitating? Just do what I say. Although Yuanqi Tianzun's tone was calm, it contained undoubted power. Tai's Hanglejun was sitting on the futon at this time, with his long white beard hanging down. He closed his eyes and seemed to be completely unaware of what was happening in front of him. However, all his mind was actually staring at one place, or rather is a thing. That thing. It is the live broadcast screen exposed by the system. Lingbao Tianzun's face was a little ugly, but the Zuxian sword was murderous and beat extremely hard. After Yuanqi said this, no one from the other two responded to him. Kunlun ruin seems to have not changed at all. However, if a person looks at the Kunlun ruins from a global perspective at this time, he will find that the intensity of the war between the abyss and heaven is rapidly declining. Those monsters no longer continuously emerged from the giant mouths of the abyss, and even the golden crows in the sky did not continue to burn everything, but returned to the sun star. Among the sun stars, there is a sacred hibiscus tree that Yeshi has longed for. It is as golden as a jade crystal. The flames of all things are burning in it. There are several three-legged golden crows perched on it. Certainly. Now Yeshi has no time to care about the sacred trees or not. He just felt very worried about his newly born Taishu. Tongzi, you understand, I need an explanation. Can you tell me why this eggshell is broken and there is still an egg inside? Is this reasonable? Is it metaphysics? Is it magic? Is it science? Is it this abyss? What the hell is this? Yeshi's consciousness at this time had completely sunk into his own world. His world is still the same as before. That is, except for an area at Taishu, Yeshijiang has stopped all other areas, stopping all time and space, and even the concept of existence. In short, except for the place where Taishu stayed, the rest of Yeshi's world was already somewhere between existence and non-existence. From a human perspective, those worlds had turned into a mist, seemingly existence. In fact, when you get closer, you will find that everything is a mirage. Yeshi has always been a very steady person, although not many people admit this ironclad fact. But he still pays great attention to the creation of his own personality, although it is possible that he has a deep misunderstanding of himself. All areas were blurred, nothingness, everything completely ceased to exist under Yeshi's thought. And here, the only place that exists, the only place with a material basis. An egg with a broken shell appeared in front of Yeshi. Yeshi couldn't help but touch his chin. There were no adjectives to describe his current mood. He wanted to know now whether the egg could still be broken. Regarding these weird friendless information, Yeshi was always good at using the system, so he asked directly. Good guy. This question is nothing. The problem is that when Yeshi asked the question in his mind, the voice of Taishu rang. Ding, host. Is this here, your memory? I don't exist in the real world. Do you have the authority to switch between illusion and reality? Good guy. Yeshi was startled by the talking egg, and the system's voice came as promised. Ding, host, it's like this. After testing, the system can clearly tell you, yes, after the Taishu egg breaks its shell, it becomes an egg. This should be a manifestation of Taishu. As for why it looks like an egg, it should have a lot to do with the host's world and the location where you placed Taishu. The system is currently actively scanning. Please don't worry, the host. The system is trying to build a corresponding protective wall for the host through all available methods. The voice of the system suddenly became more ambitious. Yeshi was a little confused when he heard it. Why did this sudden increase in fighting power? Ah yes. Yes, you are not in the material world now, there is no objective existence, it is just an illusion. In my memory, the dream power I have is indeed between virtual and real, but you are not. Did you know it earlier? My clone said hello to you, and you were alive at that time. Yeshi's words are always very powerful, even though in front of him are countless spaces and times as well as beings born in the buried era, one of the 5 innate ones in the universe. However, this was Yeshi, and with this sudden attack, the opponent was immediately silenced. Yeshi curled his lips. He looked at the jade-like egg in front of him and started chatting with the system in his heart. Is he trying to test me? He doesn't care whose territory this is. Although I may not be as powerful as him when I get out, he can't get out. Even the 5th innate wife still needs to grow. There is no such environment, how could he be so arrogant? Yeshi didn't realize at all that it was actually him who was arrogant. The system hesitated to speak. In the end, he did not choose to argue with Yeshi in this aspect, but continued to analyze. Ding, after testing, the security of the host has now exceeded 1000% from 100%. You, the host, are indeed a veteran in stability and extraordinary. Otherwise, your world may be able to provide power to Taishu. Yes, I have always been so good, but Tongzi, you have been a bit weak recently. Yeshi accepted the rainbow fart from the system as a matter of course, and then looked at Dan who was talking again in front of him, the fun in his eyes almost overflowing. I know, but strictly speaking, I was not alive at that time. I was just being conceived and about to be conceived. The egg suddenly turned in one direction, and then looked at Yeshi. I remember that your clone was very weak and it was difficult to even get close to me. Your clone is dead. How did you bring me to your memory? Taishu's words made Xuanhuan a little confused. Someone else brought you here. Why are you asking others? How can I know? Well, I know that you belong to the kind of devil star that descends from the sky, which means that the era I am in will completely disappear. Apart from you, does this symbolic function have any other functions, such as making a wish and then having a wish? Yeshi grinned, revealing his crystal white teeth, with a bright smile on his face. He didn't feel at all that there was anything wrong with the question he asked. I'm watching all things return to ruins, everything becoming invisible. I am formless, the most original state of the universe. The function you mentioned can only be achieved by Taisu, who represents matter. Have you seen Taisu? Yeshi smiled slightly at the egg. Can you stop pretending? You are my egg after all. Can I know how much you weigh and stop testing me? You are already born. Why do you feel so unborn? By the way, is Taisu going to die together and die in that era? Taishu egg. The Taishu egg, which is like a green marrow jade, is actually unable to express its emotions as an egg, so after being silent for a while, it was defeated by the shameless Yeshi. Yes, Taisu represents matter, and all matter will fall into the ruins and be buried. He will also fall into the ruins, so he is not dead and is still alive. Incredible, Master, 2 innate 5 empresses cannot exist at the same time in an era. They all leave with the passing of a stage, and there are no exceptions. Yeshi nodded, then snapped his fingers. Yes, but now exceptions have appeared, right? Sometimes, we should not speak like this. After all, you are not that great being in the future, and you dare to say it with such a sure tone. Also, although you call me master very nicely, you should just squat here obediently. I won't take you out. Bye-bye. When Yeshi asked for the information he wanted, he quickly disappeared without waiting for Taishu to speak again. The mind returns to its original position. Exploring the world, starting from the discovery of the white bone dragon pond. Author, Wo Yi Pian Hai. Chapter 527. Tongzi, this Taishu is interesting, but why is he so humble and condescending to me? Do you really think I will be deceived by him so easily, or do you have more ideas? Ding, After testing, Taisha represents a stage of state, and the wisdom generated by the stage is actually not consistent with the wisdom of all living beings. Therefore, when judging their actions and words, we should not use the wisdom of all living beings. Judgment is based on experience and wisdom, so the meaning of the system is that the meaning of Taisha should be the literal meaning. You mean, in the beginning, you thought I was his master? Yes, that's it. Yeshi was thoughtful, but did not go back to have further communication with Taishu. His mind returned to its original position, and all the changes in Kunlun ruins suddenly accelerated. The golden divine light spread down from above, and the ball of fire also appeared on Yeshi's hand. In fact, the audience in the live broadcast room did not see it at all, even in their hands. Even with his eyes, he could not notice that an existence that affected the universe and millions of lives was born. So why is the fire missing? Where did Yeshen take the fire? This fire is so beautiful. I died in a fire before and I am very afraid of fire, but I feel that if I can die in this fire, I will be very satisfied. Good guy, sacrifice, right. Mysterious passerby, one era is over, another era is coming, and you know nothing about it. The separation of the relationship between Yan and the abyss already means that the dividing line between heaven and the abyss will not be so obvious, and the sound of egg, the sound of the shell cracking, proves that Taishu will be born and all things will eventually return to ruins. I know you are a big shot, but I still don't understand. Why didn't I hear any sound of eggshells breaking? Could it be that you are hallucinating, or are you imagining it for yourself? Yeshi is actually still at the bottom of the abyss, but it doesn't look like other places in the abyss. In other words, in fact, from Yeshi's point of view, this place is slightly similar to Gigzu. When the main gods of the abyss slowly left, the bottom of the place, like ruins, also began to slowly collapse. Only the place around Yeshi still maintained its original appearance. Regarding Yan's matter, these gods in the abyss actually saw it but did not stop it. This is a very thought-provoking thing. Yeshi left this place. He was thinking about whether he should not stay here at this time, and was even considering whether he should take Taishu out. In the past, when the Kunlun ruins collapsed and then reshaped, during this period, the system told Yeshi some things about this great existence in the future. At that time, Yeshi had a mysterious feeling. And now, this feeling is getting stronger. The system, and even the heavenly lords, have actually emphasized many times that the gap between the times and the tide of the times cannot be stopped by human power. Even if it is stopped for a while, it cannot be stopped for a lifetime. Although heaven has indeed achieved this in the past, and there have been slight changes before, but after Taishu is born, everything will go in that direction again. At this time, Yeshi was already standing on the lifeline of the universe. System, do you remember my last life? You said before that if I die in this world, you will look for me in my next life, but why didn't you find me in my last life? Is it for any special reason? Yeshi stood in the sky outside the sky, looking at the rising and falling worlds in the Kunlun ruins, as well as the cave heaven paradise, the immortals struggling on the line of death, the countless dead mortals, the monsters crawling out of the abyss, and the sparks on the ground. A big hole in the sky. Time and space have no meaning here. All living beings are wailing here, the world is crying here, and even the universe has a huge terrifying storm similar to crying. In this situation, Yeshi asked in his heart and system. The system should have known early on that Yeshi would ask questions in this regard, so it did not think about it for a long time, but calmly responded directly. Ding, host, you died too quickly in your last life. When I found you, your soul had already ascended to heaven. I took your soul to search and found this world, and then traveled through time, and it comes from space, which is the place we are in now, that is very similar to the earth. There is no special reason, just because you died too early. Yeshi. The faint sunlight no longer brings warmth to life, but endless heat. A terrifying temperature rises on the ground. This may not be the most important battlefield, but it is the most important battlefield. Although the abyss and heaven have consciously separated the living forces, the quagmire of war that has spread throughout the universe and here cannot be easily ended. Okay, since you said that, let me ask more clearly. Tongzi, why did you come to me, why did you have to find me, take me away even if I die, and even search for me in my next life? Other systems don't seem to be like this, right? Ding, regarding this issue, the system will once again emphasize that the direction of the host's progress is the goal of the system. This system will always serve the host and will only serve the host. The host's sword is pointing to the system is pointing to the host's sword. As for the reason and why, this does not exist in the system. To understand it literally, there is no reason, and there is absolutely no attempt to control the host through the system. If there really is a being who created the system, then when the host and this being become enemies, the host's sword point will be the direction of attack of the system. When Yeshi heard these words, although he had some guesses in his heart, it was still quite warm whether he should say it or not. Don't be so sure. What if there is a secret door? In fact, I had guessed before that you were the future that heaven and the abyss were looking for, but this guess was quickly overturned. Yeshi said this and did not continue. Ding, even if it is a truly great existence, the system cannot detect it, but if there are corresponding means placed on the system will detect it, so the host does not have to worry. This system has multiple dimensions in the world, they are the most top-notch systems. According to the host, the system has just conducted 396.1 billion self-checks and has not detected any secret doors. However, in order to protect the host and make the host feel at ease, the system has investigations will be carried out at all times. Exploring the world, starting from the discovery of the white bone dragon pond. Author, Wo Yi Pian Hai. Chapter 528. It was difficult for Yeshi to comment on what the system said and the inexplicable feeling in his heart at this moment. After the system answered one of Yeshi's questions and gave an in-depth explanation, it once again answered another question. Ding, there is indeed a possibility that the future mentioned by the host is the system. Therefore, after the host raised this possibility, the system immediately started self-examination, and in the process of self-examination, the system scanned all possible aspects, but no relevant information was found. Therefore, it is 99.9999% certain that the future is not this system. The system answered very seriously, and Yeshi could hear the sincerity in these words. In fact, for those so-called systems that have some evil hand on other people's bodies, Yeshi felt that other people's systems might be like this, but his was definitely not like this. After all, ever since the system first appeared, its attitude towards it has not been that of equality, but rather that of a supporting subordinate. After experiencing so much, Yeshi became more and more sure of some things in his heart. These things had existed in his heart for a long time before, but he had never studied them deeply. You still remember the special planet we were on in the beginning. You said that if you encounter something that really cannot be solved, my future body will naturally come to help. How are you so sure? Ding, because the system is not affected by time and space in a strict sense, and the system can clearly determine the host's future based on the host's development time and future. 10,000 lines must be unified, and one certificate will last forever. No matter it is from a certain perspective, your future body must exist and be able to interfere with you. Yeshi understood that he had to communicate clearly before discovering anything in the future. For example, regarding his future incarnation, he had always thought that the system had discovered something. He did not expect that such a thing would be universally applicable. Reasons. So you said that you can't contact my future body, but if something happens to me, my future body will definitely appear. Is that the reason? Ding, yes. Very good. Do you still remember the future you mentioned when I was in Kunlun ruins? What we were talking about at that time was not a great existence, but my future. Your wording was very wonderful. I need you to conduct a test on me now. Scan, use all your power to analyze me, or directly tell me your observations about me. When Yeshi said this, he paused. I mean, do you think that I am the future? Yeshi finally revealed this possibility. He had this idea very early on. Perhaps when he first learned about the concept of this great existence in the future, he had a wonderful feeling in his heart. And now, at this moment, Kunlun ruins and Taishu when they reflect each other, this feeling reaches its peak. This time the system was silent for a long, long time, or in the world of thinking, it was silent for endless years. Yeshi didn't know whether it was silence or using all its power to perform calculations, but it was obvious that the system did not answer him in time. Even the live broadcast room, which has no sense of existence, is a bit bleak. Yeshi's brows moved slightly. He was sure that the system was mobilizing power, and the power it was mobilizing would even affect the live broadcast rooms that had been divided. It had to be said that this time the system really used its full strength. And Yeshi added fire to the system where the CPU might have been burned out. He directly replayed what happened in the past in his own spiritual world. Ding, this is something that is invisible only. Okay, since the host has discovered the most important secret in all the worlds, the system will next silence some energy. After this matter, provide the basis service. It seems, Delugo Jinxian, will protect you. Ding, don't worry, host, your future is always watching you /. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Exploring the world, starting from the discovery of the white bone dragon pond. Author, Wo Yi Pian Hai. Chapter 529. Yes, host, you are the future. When the familiar system voice sounded, even though Yeshi had expected it long ago, when such a certain and confident word reached his mind. Yeshi was still inevitably a little confused, and his face was also a little out of control, showing outside. Of course, even if it was revealed outside, no one could notice it now, and look here. Because the surrounding space was the moment the system voice sounded, or the moment Yeshi heard the system voice, the entire universe began to change. All the space and time universes have been frozen, condensed, and no longer flowed. Except for Yeshi, the entire universe has no breath of existence. Only the future can reach the future, and except for the future, no existence can reach the future. It is an unpredictable future, an unfathomable future, and a future that can never be reached. Tongzi, don't scare me, I'm just asking. That is, do you want to be more cautious? Yeshi couldn't help but frown, and then looked at the nothingness and the sun that condensed like gold and jade, which suddenly became illusory. There is a saying that there are only 3 true Buddhas, one is the Buddha of the past, one is the Buddha of the present, and one is the Buddha of the future. If you can understand the truth in this, you can have a better understanding of the word future. This does not mean that tomorrow equals the future as everyone thinks in the public. But that what is truly unreachable is called the future. In short, what can be reached is the past and the present, and only the future can never be reached. So, the future body of Yeshi mentioned by the system is all false. Yeshi does not have any future body at all. He is the future. Where does his future body come from? He has always been like this. He will not be like those Delugo Jinxian, Tianzun, and need to prove eternity or return to the timeline. These are all false and do not exist. He represents the future. Yeshi has no past and no present. He is the future that will never arrive. Since Yeshi came to this world, he has been exploring, changing from one world to another, and walking from one dimension to another. This is the most obvious trace of the future, because every step he takes is the future. It sounds a bit confusing, but you know that Yeshi has no past. Now, he only has the future, and he is the future. Yeshi's mind was noisy. He thought of everything that happened before. No wonder he said that his previous life was very strange. Good guy, this time he directly overturned his previous life. No wonder the 3 lives stone or the hell stone that corresponds to the previous life can't reflect anything. It turns out that this is exactly the case. No, I don't understand. Are you so sure? Ding, great host, it's like this. Before I said this, I did have a 1 in a trillion probability, which was a wrong perception, but after I told you this fact, the changes in the entire universe have proved this point. When Taishu woke up, Taishu and Taisu appeared in the same era incredibly. When the past was buried, the future appeared. When the shadow of Gigzu has covered the edge of the universe, and all this is because of the change of you, the host. You see, the entire universe has fallen into a future that will never arrive. The picture of the entire universe appeared in front of Yeshi, and the scenes floated past one by one. It was originally like countless universes in the past, with birth, aging, sickness and death, and the universe of Gigzu. After Yeshi learned his true identity, these fixed futures disappeared completely. Brilliant light and heat bloomed at the edge of the universe, and the traces of the avenue were even more worn away and then reborn. The fate of a person is actually fixed, just as the fate of the universe is actually fixed. However, when the great existence itself appeared in the entire universe and became one with the universe, all those fixed, straight line-like and natural futures that would arrive had completely disappeared. All things eventually changed, the universe was silent, and the return to the abyss was as vast as the sea of stars. Well, this universe will not have a future, only the past and the present. Generally speaking, if a person can live for 100 days, then you can't say that when he was waiting for the second day on the first day of his life, the second day was the future. Wrong, the second day can only be called the present that is about to arrive, because the word future means that it is absolutely impossible to arrive. What can be arrived is not the future. The concept of time and space has never existed in Yeshi's world. Although this is true, there are few people like him. When he was just a mortal, this kind of indifference to time and space has reached the pinnacle. Host, the system really didn't expect that the future we have been looking for so long is right beside us. This is really a case of looking for a long time and finally finding it. Stop, 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 shut up. You seem quite proud of yourself. Yeshi was in a mess now. He was really angry when he heard what the system said. Let me take it easy. I am the future, why don't I feel anything? I said that fate can have such great power, wherever I go, the place will collapse. It turns out that it is because I went there, so I took their future with me, so it became like that. I came to this world, the blue planet. Because of me, I started live broadcasting, which led to the phenomenon that wherever I went, the spiritual energy revived. It was also because I am the future, so I took the future to that place. Yeshi touched his chin and thought it was a little funny. Oh, now that it is clear, it's true that all the logic is very smooth. Ding, it is such a host. Although your current power and existence have not actually reached the level of a great existence, there is no doubt that you are the concept of the future itself, so when you walk, you will unconsciously affect everything. I said, no wonder wherever I go, that place suddenly starts to work, or in other words, before I went there, it was like that for tens of thousands of years, but it changed as soon as I went there. I was still saying that this was the fate of the protagonist, but it turned out to be my own reason. Yeshi laughed. Knowing this matter, although it made him a little bit unbearable at the beginning, he adjusted it quickly and immediately returned to normal. So, Yeshi looked at it, as if he fell into a silent universe. So, because of me, this universe is not moving. When Yeshi's words were like turning on a switch. Everything started to work again and began to return to its previous appearance. Exploring the world, starting from the discovery of the white bone dragon pond. Author, Xuanhuan Hai. Chapter 530. The great Dao came into being from nothing, time and space revived here, but Yeshi's body disappeared more and more from everyone's sight. If Yeshi himself did not have an anchor point of thought, I am afraid that even his current body would not be seen by others, and everything would be moving towards the future. This universe, except for Yeshi's current concept, can be said to have not changed at all. Even for those cultivators with extraordinary cultivation, they could not notice it, such as those Deluo Jinxian, those Tianzan, and those main gods in the abyss. Even though they had been exploring endlessly before, when the future really came, no one noticed it. So, just like that, nothing has changed. Yeshi suddenly realized that knowing this matter and not knowing this matter seemed to have no change, at most he could have a panoramic view of the entire universe. Ding, yes, the changes that will occur in the future are in the infinite future. Therefore, apart from you, the host, you cannot feel any specific changes. Still waters run deep, and everything is hidden under the stormy waves? Host, should we continue to extract the world in this universe now? Yeshi shook his head. His live broadcast room was completely different from before. It seemed that he was still broadcasting live, and people familiar with him could see that the fixed perspective of the live broadcast here was completely different from the previous fixed perspective in Kunlun ruins. I seem to have not seen Yeshen for a long time. Is this my illusion? I checked the time, it didn't seem like much time had passed, but I felt like we hadn't seen each other for a long time, and why did Yeshen suddenly give me a feeling of divinity? My God, what happened to me? I looked at the alarm clock, it ticked for about a minute. Stop your flattering words, can you see what Kunlun ruins has been beaten into? Divinity, even the real gods have been beaten. You understand the art of speaking, but why? The battle over there has been so fierce that the traces of the avenue have been erased, the edge of the universe has been erased, and we can still watching the live broadcast here. Why am I not dead yet? Living king of hell, that's right, the scene this time seems very scary, but it is different from the last time our samsara and Hades were not blown up, but they were really blown up last time. Is there any big guy who can explain why we are still alive? I think the traffic of this live broadcast room is still increasing. Mysterious passerby, I don't know, I'm not sure, the sky is already in chaos, and nothing can be seen clearly. Yeshi has rarely interacted with some people in the live broadcast room. At this time, his eyes looked to the sky instead. In fact, before knowing the future, Yeshi didn't want to leave this universe too quickly. He still had some feelings for this universe, but now it is not certain. Tongzi, why don't we leave? Do you remember what you said before, locating the coordinates of other universes, and those great beings? In this universe, I'm afraid it will always be the battlefields of the abyss and heaven that have been fighting for 1.8 billion years without any result. Everything will be pulled towards them. To be honest, it's a bit boring. I was worried that this universe would blow up before, but now, there should be no need to worry about this. The future of this universe is indeed anchored by me, right? Ding, yes. Then let's leave. When Yeshi said this, it was not difficult to accept in his heart. To be honest, he wanted to run away a long time ago. If he didn't think the outside world was too dangerous and the universe inside was too crowded, Yeshi would have gone to the world called Eternal that the system located to take a look. Even if he didn't go to this world, he could change to another universe to take a look. Staying in this universe all day and watching those things become a mess, Yeshi really had no interest in it. Didn't you see that because of the two groups fighting here, Yeshi had to go to bomb wherever he went, and he couldn't do any uncovering and exploring as usual. Yeshi stretched his body. When he realized what he was, all those unreasonable things became reasonable. Although his cultivation didn't break through the sky all of a sudden, it was obvious that the things he was worried about would not happen again in the future. It's time to go. Yashi's eyes suddenly looked at the live broadcast room, grinning at the live broadcast room. The smile was very bright, and it was very healing and sunny at a glance. I didn't expect that. Although I didn't get the information I wanted to know this time in the abyss, I got the most important point. In fact, since the beginning of this sky-falling universe, I haven't had a good adventure, which goes against my personality. Yashi smiled cheerfully, and his voice became more and more uplifting. So, next, I decided to leave this universe and go to other universes to have a look. Yashi raised his hand and waved to billions of living beings.